is Popeye the Slayer Man on our 31 spooky movies of Halloween. This is where I sacrifice my sanity so you don't have to. Today's cinematic disaster is something so baffling and so aggressively boring that I swear it might be performance art, the kind of which Andy Kaufman would have marveled at. Popeye the Slayer Man. Yes, you heard me right. Popeye the Sailor Man, except this time he's not slurping spinach and punching Bluto in the stratosphere. No. Now he's a horror villain. Because apparently, when a character goes public domain, the first thing filmmakers do is drag them straight into a slasher film. I hate the way things are. So why is Popeye in a horror movie? Well, here's the deal. Characters eventually enter the public domain, meaning that anyone can use them without paying a dime. Basically, we all own that iteration of Popeye now, just like we all own Tarzan and we all own the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse. That's why we've seen Winnie the Pooh become a machete-wielding psycho and Mickey star in his own discount horror flick, and now we have Popeye. Someone out there actually looked at this squinty-eyed sailor with his pipe and anchor tattoos and thought, yes, horror icon. Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Popeye. And then sadly, someone made the movie. So here's the thrilling story, if you can call it that. And I mean story. A group of teenagers go out in search of an urban legend. They've heard whispers about a mysterious figure known only as the Sailor Man. Naturally, they head to an abandoned warehouse because those are cheap to rent, I guess. And because teenagers in horror movies have never once Googled bad decisions, they go and they look for the Sailor Man, and yeah. Oh, and also one of them has a connection to the Sailor Man that is so stupid and yet so predictable at the same time that I'm not even going to insult your intelligence by spoiling it. Think about it for 5 minutes and you know. Well, it turns out they find him, except the Sailor Man turns out to be Popeye. Yes, Popeye. The man who once sang about being strong to the finish because he eats his spinach. And now he's butchering teenagers. Now that doesn't even rhyme, but you know what? It still makes more sense than this movie. It sounds insane, right? An absolutely gonzo horror comedy waiting to happen, except no. They play it straight. Dead serious. Like this is The Witch, but with a sailor hat and 100 less points of IQ. Popeye the Slayer Man, where fun goes to die. Now, you would think a movie about Popeye slashing up dumb teenagers would lean into camp, go over the top, and get really weird with it. But no. They treat this like prestige horror. Long, slow shots, endless dialogue, characters staring into the dark and whispering, "Did you hear that?" While the audience whispers back, "I heard nothing because nothing is happening." I guess you could make an argument that this is maybe a black comedy if you don't know what a black comedy is. This is more like a mid-comedy, like someone just thought the idea of putting Popeye in a slasher movie was the joke, and that was the only joke that the movie needed, or has. So instead of the ridiculous fun that we deserve, we get 90 minutes of Popeye squinting, lurking, and occasionally killing someone in ways so vanilla I half expected the film to apologize in the credits. Now, let's talk about the obvious budget. Let's talk about production values. This movie is cheap. I'm talking, we shot this movie in a parking lot with a broken flashlight cheap. It looks like it was shot in someone's backyard or in a parking garage or in that abandoned warehouse that they were able to shoot in because it was about to be condemned and tore down. The lighting, okay, picture a student film where someone accidentally left the porch light on. That's this movie. Now, as for Popeye himself, he doesn't look scary. They put him in this really thick makeup, but the thing is, it just doesn't work. He looks like a tired cosplayer who wandered into the wrong conventions. The pipe, fake. The tattoos, fake. The chin, fake. The cheeks, fake. I swear the tattoo was made by Sharpie. The menace, non-existent. This dude is a big foam latex mask that looks so incredibly fake you would almost think that that's the joke as well. But really, I don't think that they're that clever. There's so much latex that's been glued to this poor guy. I think that they could have recycled it all into a big foam hand, giving the audience the finger, because that's basically what this movie does. The script to this film, and I use that both terms very, very lightly, is a crime. The dialogue is flat. The story is thinner than olive oil. And not a single line sticks in your memory, except maybe, I am what I am. They stripped Popeye of everything iconic, probably because it's still trademarked. No muttering nonsense under his breath, no spinach power-ups that I remember. I don't know, there's several times I stopped paying attention. No silly charm. Just a grumpy old sailor stalking teenagers like he's mad that they walked on his lawn. And, you know, I kind of get it. Even the kills, when they bother to show them, are unimaginative, which is wild, because the premise practically writes itself. You could have Popeye bash someone with a can of spinach, choke someone with an anchor chain, punch a guy so hard his ghost leaves his body, but no, just more bland stabbings and stranglings. Oh, there was spinach in this movie because it was like radioactive, and that's why Popeye's all crazy and mean and strong and everything. I'm strong to the finish because my spinach is radioactive. I'm Popeye slowly dying of cancer. Now listen, I don't want to be mean, too late, I know, but wow. Everyone in this movie delivers their lines like they're practicing for a high school play that they don't want to be in. The kids, bland. The villain, bland. The extras, bland. Everything, bland. Even Popeye is bland, which should be impossible. He's Popeye! One of the weirdest cartoon characters ever created, reduced to the horror equivalent of unsalted crackers. And that's the real tragedy of this movie. Just like The Mousetrap, this movie could have been a laugh riot. Imagine a horror comedy where Popeye hulks out on spinach and then goes berserk. Imagine Looney Tunes violence with slasher gore. Imagine if the film had embraced how ridiculous it is instead of pretending it was high art or dramatic or something anybody cares about. But no. Instead, it's just bad. It's bad story, bad scares, bad acting, bad Popeye. Even the wimpy cameo, yeah, the hamburger guy, even the wimpy cameo wasn't like, oh, isn't that nice, it's wimpy. It was like, oh, jeez, why are they bringing wimpy into this? I went into this movie thinking, okay, this will be dumb, but at least it'll be fun. And I was wrong. This wasn't dumb fun. It was just dumb. I kept waiting for the big moment, the one scene so crazy, it redeemed the entire film. Instead, I got a latex-laden sailor man walking slowly, teenagers screaming blandly in a runtime that felt longer than the entire One Piece anime. By the time the credits rolled, I was not scared. I was not laughing. I was just bored. The scariest thing about this movie is how long it feels. So, Popeye the Slayer Man. Why does this film exist? No, because Popeye went public domain. And that's it. That's the reason. Is it scary? No. Is it fun? No. But is it at least interesting in an ironic way? Also, no. This movie is the definition of vanilla. The writing, the acting, the villain, the kids, the scares, it's all vanilla, flavored vanilla that is so bland that if you put salt on it, it would actually burn your mouth. This isn't Popeye the Slayer Man. This is Popeye the Bland Man. And if Spinach gave me powers, I would use them to forget that this movie ever existed by punching myself repeatedly in the head. Popeye the Slayer Man. A film so boring it makes watching grass grow look like a Tarantino movie. Would I recommend it? Only if you're writing a dissertation on the dangers of public domain horror movies. Otherwise, steer your ship far away and do not put this one on your 31 spooky movies of Halloween. Because I sure as heck ain't gonna. Wow. Can't believe I survived this one. This one was bad. I mean, it was like really bad. It was like, I can't even compare it to anything. It's Popeye the Slayer Man bad. It's a brand new level of bad. But at least you were entertained, right? My suffering brings you joy. But you want to know what else would bring me joy? If you became a Patreon by clicking the video description below, there's a link. You can give us $5 a month or more if you're feeling saucy and sexy. And of course, you can also become a YouTube channel member. Either way, you get these videos early. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to join us next time. Oh, like, share, subscribe, comment, sacrifice chicken, eat your spinach. And join us next time for another look at another 31 spooky movies of Halloween. I swear, on the desiccated remains of olive oil, I will find a good one.